Welcome to the week 5 of the UFL Homer Hour. It's Rob and Nick here to talk with you all about what went down in week 4 and what we think is going to happen in week 5. Hey Nick, how's it going?
It's going well. Has the UFL started getting exciting for you yet?
It has, to the point where even if I'm watching something else, like say on Saturday when um, it was happening, say other when there's other events on, at the very least, if it's not my main screen, it's up and it's on my phone. Um, I ended up having to tune in, even though I had other things going on. I had to tune in to watch the second half of Defenders Brahmas. It was great, and another example there. I'm sure we'll get to it, but another example of Mike Pereira having way too much power. Was big in that one.
Yeah, we're each going to take turns on that. I actually missed that part. I saw the highlights of the game and got the good recap, and it was a hell of a game, and we're definitely going to get into it. But as for the controversy, it did not show any on my end just because I showed the quick play, the Fox cuts. So I only got the quick highlights, but I am curious of what exactly broke down on that, and we're going to discuss that in the future. Um, not much is UFL news is calming down. The coaching carousel's finally starting to stabilize. I heard one rumor that Wade Phillips just got tired of San Antonio, but it wasn't really from a reliable source. The rumor mill has it that he is going to be trying to find his way into Houston somehow because he didn't like the San Antonio area. Did you hear anything about that?
I didn't, but he literally is only there on game days.
Right. And he lives in Arlington.
So
Besides that, right?
that's why the Brahmas started off so poorly. Was Wade Phillips showing up at random practice fields in San Antonio and couldn't find his team?
I haven't heard that.
He
Really?
well, I mean, if his team's in Arlington practicing, but he apparently is busy being in San Antonio, that's a problem. No, I'm just joking, but no, you can't just like quit on a team when there's only 8 of them and then pop back in. That's not a thing. And say, oh, actually, I want to go over to Houston now. No, Houston's not firing their coach in the midseason to bring in Wade Phillips.
It could just been the UFL wanting him out, and they saw something in their new uprising head coach, and we'll discuss that a little later. But maybe that was it. Maybe the UFL just said, Wade, we got young future ahead of us. I still haven't decided yet, but it could just be he's sick, and maybe I got to stop wearing my conspiracy hats and just assume, whatever news they're telling me is probably the correct news. Octon's razor approach.
Yeah, and Peyton Party, now that he's had a full game week that it's legitimately just him, the team played for him, and somehow the defense showed up.
Shocked me, and like I said, we'll break down that game. But yes, that's what I left the tape thinking. The defense really did finally show up, and it was a pretty big game for the Brahmas. And it could just be they're playing for their coach.
Yeah.
But the other news that did come out was the ratings overall, and I got them posted right over here. It looks pretty steady. Memphis, Michigan, which I would think would be the worst game. Friday nights just haven't been doing too hot. They got 679,000. St. Louis, Arlington, 901,000. At one point, they breached 1.1 million. Birmingham, Houston got 606,000, which it wasn't supposed to be that exciting of a game. That's probably the first place team against the last place team, possible last place team. And then the San Antonio versus DC, which ended up being a really good game, but a lot of UFL experts were not going to paint it that as much. They thought the Brahmas were dead in the water, and especially the spread reflected that. But they still got 739,000, and that was on Easter Sunday, Rob, how do you think the league's doing?
I think it's doing just fine. Um, for television, it's not going to be fixed this season, but they got to do something for next season with the in-game, the live product. You don't need to be playing in 30,000 seat stadiums when you're only bringing in 10. If you find yourself those smaller fields, 10, 20,000 stadium, it'll feel a lot bigger. It'll feel like if you're a casual, like if I'm just a casual fan and I'm flipping through and it's ABC on a Sunday and it's that or golf's golf's got more fans. It affects you when they pan and there's like three people in the stands.
It's frustrating because you really have to know football or watch a lot of football to look at the games and go, you know what? It's actually not a bad product on the field. But a great example is when my girl watches for whatever reason, she jumps in and watches it. She's like, "What are you watching? It looks like high school football out there." They're better than high school players, obviously. I think they're better than the college players, which is a big debate in the UFL. But she's just seeing what she's seeing, and there's no fans showing up to it, so it just doesn't seem legitimate, you know. Um,
Yeah, I mean the Sunday game. Yeah, it was Easter, but I think there were more cups in the beer snake than there were fans in the stands.
the conspiracy continues, even though, and now you're going against. I sent you on the post. You didn't respond to it, but Daryl the Moose Johnson
I
had to finish a beer to put that in the beer snake. So if you're telling me Moose is lying to me, you're now rubbing my feathers, and I'm not liking it at all.
I'm not saying I'm saying it's legit now. I'm even following on X. I'm following the guy that is the beer snake captain or beer snake commander or whatever. I'm following, so it's legit. But I hope they're all getting Ubers on the way home.
Yeah, it's a lot of beer, and I'll tell you what would be a good idea is if we can get him on the podcast.
That'd be great. I would love to ask him some questions. Specifically, what is his per game budget for beer?
Oh, yeah, like how much does he start off with? Is it like 3 or 4 beers, or is he
And
loading up on 5 or 6? I mean, what do you think that is? Like $120? If it was at a UT game, it'd be that much. And I've been to a UFL game; they are not skipping down on the prices of beer. It's still expensive over there.
exactly. But no, beer snake is real.
All right, all right, all right. I just didn't want to cause any more issues with the DC fan base because they're really proud of it, and as they should be. It's one of the coolest things that they got going right now in the UFL. They got the lemon throws. I was a little disappointed in how many attended the game, but I get it. Friends, family. It's an Easter weekend, so obviously I just didn't. We can't expect too much over there. It was also against the Brahmas, who people thought at the time was the worst team in the league. A lot of people did, including you. Uh,
Yeah, and they're my team.
but but they're looking good. They're looking good and they're exciting. The Brahmas that I promised are starting to come to fruition, and especially on the defense out
Uh,
there.
quote Shorzy, they'll never lose again.
Right? I don't know. Maybe you never know. We'll never lose again. Uh, my apologies. So we've got the week. Uh, my apologies. Let me get this set up.
There it
We got
is.
the week matchups that have happened throughout the week. First start was Michigan Panthers Showboats. My understanding was you actually finished this game all the way through, right, Rob? I mean, you were sending me texts throughout the game.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't finish the game all the way through. Once it get to one
Yeah.
7-9, I called it. Um, I saw what I needed to see. Michigan did not exactly have to try hard here.
No, and the Showboats aren't doing themselves any favors by going to EJ Perry or Cam Williams and switching back and forth. So they're showing no consistency on offense. But forget the skill positions, forget the quarterbacks. The biggest, I said Michigan, I'm sorry, I was referring to Memphis, the Memphis Showboats. It doesn't really matter who they go with at quarterback. Their offensive line is terrible. Their defensive line is terrible. So I don't see any sort of progress. I don't know what they're going to do. They might need to make a coaching change to try to remotivate the players. But
That's
guys, I think we got ourselves a league whipping post right now if they keep it up at this rate because that was awful.
yeah. And as much as we love to see Bryce Perkins play a whole game, one thing I should have brought this up during the news: Danny Etling is cleared for next week, and the head coach Mike Nolan is not committing to just Bryce Perkins, and Danny Etling may again be getting the start.
I don't know what Mike Nolan's thinking. Bryce Perkins right now is playing at an MVP level, especially if Te'ama loses another game. Perkins could be the MVP of this league. He's exciting to watch. He's got a hell of an arm. He moves around in the pocket. He's the guy. And I don't even know. Edling's fine. He's a great backup. He's a great backup. They got a really good position over there, over at the Michigan Panthers. But Perkins is the one that's making this offense move. And he just lit it up again and played another game. I don't know what Mike Nolan's thinking. He's a defensive coach, so maybe that's his issue. He's just focused more on the defense and doesn't know what to exactly do on offense. But man, give it to Perkins already and stop teasing the guy. Let him take over that team. Let him get consistent around him, and let the guy win.
Yeah, yeah. If this quarterback change, and with three teams tied at the top, yeah, I mean, yes, Michigan is gonna get in the playoffs probably, even if they only win one more game. They're getting into the playoffs based on their conference. Um, but you're gonna cost yourself a shot at realistically contending for a title if you keep this back and forth. Granted, next week we can sit here and tell you, wow, I can't believe it. Danny Etling threw for 375 yards and 4 touchdowns. Except that's like the passing yards total of like Luis Perez for the season. So that's not going to be a NFL game. But yeah, Bryce Perkins is the way to go. Etling can't run the way Perkins can, and that's needed in the UFL.
Yeah, and he lost wide receiver talent with Marcus Sims being traded. We'll talk about him a little later. But that was really shocking how Mike Nolan cannot get this under wraps. Just make Bryce Perkins the guy, you know.
Yeah.
The next game that we had going on was the Battlehawks versus the Renegades. This is the game of the week last week, and we definitely have some controversies. Rob, we'll wrap up the controversies when we talk about the Brahmas defenders. We don't need to really bog down. We'll ping pong it, okay, and just feed off it because I think we're on the same page with it. But Battlehawks go in, with Manny Wilkins, and Manny Wilkins went out early into the game, and the offense started struggling. But look, let me tell you something. I don't think this is a quarterback thing right now, and I think what the Renegades are doing on defense is legit. They are by far allowing the least amount of points in the league. They played against the Stallions. They played against the Brahmas. You could argue on that one, and they played against decent teams in this league and was able to hold them up. Okay, I think the Renegades are legitimately the best defense in the league. They are, every time I watch this defense play, the quarterback's running around like a chicken with his head cut off because he cannot figure out where to go. And it's consistently happening. And I thought that the Battlehawks actually had the best offensive line in the league. So it shocked me that they were able to do it against them. Luis Perez is awesome and everything. We were developing a running game with Balaj out there and Day Day as well. But I don't think the story is the offense. I thought the offense was going to improve from last year. But what really shocked me is it looks like the defense has even gotten better. And they were already a top defense in the league last year. So I'm getting really excited about this Renegades moving forward.
Yeah, they're at the moment they are the number one team in the league. They proved it this week. So you won our weekly picks because the one game we felt differently on was this one, and you had the Renegades. I definitely did not. Granted, I also said that Duggan was gonna be the one to lead them to the promised land. Not through this week, he's not. We'll see if now that he's going to be settled in as the presumptive starter going forward with the Achilles injury to Manny Wilkins. We'll see if next week, if he's looking a little bit better, I think he will. With that being said, talking about Manny Wilkins, the fact that that's not a dead ball there and that does turn into a Renegades touchdown. I mean, they won by more than that ultimately. That wasn't the deciding factor,
Mhm.
but that shouldn't have been a touchdown. That should have he was down. So,
And we shouldn't have had a touchdown taken away. So we could say even. We could say even.
for sure, because that touchdown shouldn't have been taken away. But there's definitely, as we'll get into, some of these UFL rules, they're too much. They're trying to do too much, and it's going to affect them ultimately, and it's going to cost them some fans, I think.
Yeah. We'll get into Pereira and what's going on over there. And I know the St. Louis Battlehawk fans are probably freaking out right now. And I got to tell you, your defense still looks fine, and your defense does rely on your offense playing a pretty good game, at least running the ball well. The good news is you still have Sailors. Dugan, I think will look fine. I think he just got into a bad situation here against the Renegades. And the fact of the matter is, Hakeem Butler hasn't even showed you up yet, who I think is the number one wide receiver in the league. So when he gets back, I think the St. Louis Battlehawks will be back to cruising. Um, they are running out of time because you got the DC Defenders and the Renegades that they're having to compete against, and possibly the Brahmas if they keep it up uh, later on down the year. But if Hakeem Butler gets back and Dugan starts getting a little bit more comfortable in the offense, I think the St. Louis Battlehawks will be back and contending in this league for a championship.
I hope so. League's better when the biggest fan base is active and excited. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how their schedule lines up this week. Well, I don't know. They're gonna have to bounce back.
You sound like you're getting a little nervous on the Battlehawks.
Oh, they're a tier below the Renegades, that's for sure. It'll be interesting when they step up and it's Battlehawk Stallions. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, and we're not going to find out because Manny Wilkins, they haven't announced the injury, but his Achilles, I think,
I saw it in a few, but it was Achilles.
it was Achilles.
Although the Battlehawks also, I forget if it was Battlehawks or the UFL official page. One of them just released a weird post yesterday, I think, and it just said, I think it was the Battlehawks one. It just said prayers up for Manny with his photo. Like, with no context, it's like, did he get like, is he dead? Like, what happened? It was a really post. Literally no description, no nothing. Just prayers up for Manny with his photo. It's like, yes, we want him to get better, but if you didn't watch the game, you're Googling his name to find out what in the world just happened and not in a good way.
And you're not getting the results either because I can't find. But you said they reported it is the Achilles.
There's been a few, yeah. It hasn't been official, but yeah.
Well, if you just watch the injury, I mean, we're not doctors, but I think we diagnosed that one pretty quickly. It looked like an Achilles, and it sucks because Manny Wilkins has got great character, and I think he was playing really well. Just had one bad quarter, didn't work out, and I think it would have at least, especially for that game, because he was more prepared for this than I think Dugan was at the moment. And I'm not saying Dugan's not going to make it. I think he's just got to get comfortable, but that was not the time to see when you're going against that Renegades defensive line. That was not it for him.
Better.
Uh,
That's the best.
but if Manny Wilkins would have stayed in, I think we would have had a much better, much more competitive game. Although it was competitive, it came down to the last second, and we had to get that pick six. Great excitement, and I got to tell you, the UFL did a good job on entertainment wise, for sure on that game.
That pick six, I do believe, made the Sports Center top 10.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. And I'll tell you what, it got me jumping literally off the couch, and you were there, and it's live on tape.
Yes.
Actually, no. You know what happened? I didn't jump off the couch because I was too nervous about the challenge flag. If you remember that, I would have if I didn't have to worry about that.
Exactly, for sure.
But yeah, well,
This
go ahead.
Italians Roughnecks We did both correctly say that the Stallions were going to win, but the Roughnecks were going to cover. They just barely covered, but they covered.
They've it was a weird game because I was thinking that the Roughnecks were going to be struggling. I mean, I thought the Roughnecks were actually going to be able to stop the Stallions' running game and compete against them defensively by turning it into a slog fest, and the Roughnecks are just hanging around. But weirdly, it was kind of high scoring, don't you think, for that game?
For that game, yeah, because I don't think either one of us thought the Roughnecks would score more than 6 points. The Stallions scored about what they're going to score. They don't have an amazing offense, but they have a functional and efficient offense, and their defense is going to make sure that they stay in front. But yeah, that was definitely more points than I thought there would be. It was competitive, which is what we wanted. Um, the Roughnecks, they were trying to make their case that they're number 6 in the power rankings and not number 7.
Yeah, they looked a lot better over there, and they might have found a secret weapon over there with Jalen McClendon, who started when he got in, he started looking great. Nolan Henderson went out on a serious injury. McClendon did end up throwing a late pick at the game, but he's got a lot of zip on that ball, and he runs real fast. I was pretty excited watching him. I think they might have found something over there. So I think the Roughnecks are in a pretty good position. Their defense is already good. I liked what I saw from McGlendon. He was my first quarterback in the Roughnecks, and I'm like Nolan Henderson. I just thought was okay. He's average. He can do you good. But if McGlendon keeps displaying this kind of talent, you have Justin Hall, you got Merritt on the way, and then you have the big trade with Marcus Sims. This offense might actually be good.
Yep. And it's going to make things a very top heavy XFL conference is it's there.
Yeah. I think it's going to be creating some competition. I don't know if they're going to be able to get into the playoffs or anything, but at the very least, they're not the showboats. I see something in them, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, with one of the biggest things I think the XFL can do looking into next year, even if they add 2 teams, I don't think I'll be surprised if they do add 2 teams for next year. I think you got to ditch the conference thing until you get more teams, bring them all together. It should be the top 4 that are in, teams in the league that are in. I think there's a very good chance that a team that deserves to be playing for the title is sitting at home without a chance in the playoffs this year. Um,
For sure. You nailed it during the live broadcast. You brought this up. I mean, really, what are we talking about here? It's 5 teams chasing 4 spots, really, in the league. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the USFL looks like those cards are already set with the Michigan Panthers and the Stallions. So what could be 5 teams looking for 4 spots, it's turning into the XFL is just 3 teams looking for 2 spots. So, entertainment wise, it's not the best. You just want more teams to be involved in the race.
for sure. And then you factor in the fact that the Brahmas are winning now, and it could be real interesting down the stretch.
I think so. And glad you brought it up. What a great transition. We move on to the Brahmas versus the DC Defenders. I got to tell you, biggest upset in the UFL this year?
Um, Preseason, we wouldn't have said so, but based on the results of the first 3 weeks, yes. Not because based on what we saw in weeks 2 and 3, even here in week 4, the Defenders beating the Stallions is no longer an upset. That makes sense. Granted,
Mm-hmm.
if they play again, I could see the Stallions getting their win back, but um, yeah, it was good. I don't know if Cinderella's pumpkin is just popped. If we found midnight or not, we will see. But Tiamo definitely he was having trouble finding his receivers. There was a few plays in the second half where he was lucky he wasn't picked, including one that literally went in and out of 2 different defenders' hands. So it was just the defense for the Brahmas stepped up, and it was just enough.
Yeah, but the defense actually was stopping the run, which is the most important part. I am usually very quick on taking down Teamu. If I've got an excuse to say that he's having a really bad game, I'll say it. He had an okay game. It wasn't too bad.
It
I
was
think if it wasn't for Teamu, it would have been a lot worse because he actually made some serious big plays in that game too, as well, running and then throwing some deep balls that I don't think any other quarterback can hit in this league. So I think he's put on a pretty good game, and if I'm highly critical of him, and but he put on a really good show. He of course is going to make his mistakes. I think this just goes down to one, there was a special teams return that was huge, right, for the Brahmas,
Yep.
and then the offense for the Brahmas looked a little bit better this week, especially with your quarterback, Rob.
Yeah, no, Kellen Mond, he's getting there. He's making things happen. I think having Peyton Party fully focused on the offense for the most part has helped a lot. They're getting a little bit more shine and more attention, and Party's the one calling the plays, so that's huge. And then the defense, I don't know. You'd think without Wade Phillips, they would have somehow taken a step further back if it was possible. Instead, they took a step forward. I think the coach quitting on their team helped galvanize them a little bit.
Are you referring to AJ Smith or Wade Phillips?
Wade.
Both. Why not? Right.
Right. Yeah. Both quit, but at the same time, AJ wasn't affecting the defense. So.
True. Okay. Good point. And you're right. The fact that Wade Phillips is gone, you think the defense would be getting shot, but they're not. They put on a pretty good game. Definitely stopped the run. Do you think they have a shot at making the playoffs, or are you still pessimistic on this team?
Judgment. I mean, I expect them to beat the Roughnecks. I expect them to beat the Showboats. So that gets them to 3 wins right there. We got to see how they do against a team that's not one of those two going forward to see if they get a chance. If they play like they did this week, there's a shot. But they have, with how competitive they're, I hate that it's a conference with only 4 teams. I keep a division. With how competitive their conference is, they possibly can't lose another game. So.
Wow. Yeah, well, we'll definitely discuss their next game coming up. So that'd be pretty crazy if the Brahmas can hold it back. And you know what? I'm going to shoot. I think I'm seeing what I saw in the Brahmas last year. It's finally coming to fruition. So if this defense keeps playing like this and Kellen Mond keeps dishing it out, looking really good. I didn't comment on his game. He looked really fine out there and didn't make any mistakes, and he could run the ball really fast. He's looking like he's belonging in the UFL. I think he just had a slow start to the year, trying to figure out the offense. Now that he's starting to hum along, I wouldn't be shocked if this team can run the tables. That's asking a lot, but I think they could do it.
Oh, they have. We know their team, in theory, is good enough, especially on offense. I told you, I'm like, Mon's going to be able to do it. He's not. He's not that far removed from being talked about as a potential starter in the NFL. So we know he can do it. It's just, can this defense figure it out? And on offense, can the receivers hold on to the ball? And for 1 week, the answer was yes. Let's see.
And you got to give your credit to your boy Harris. He had a big catch in that game.
He did. He did.
I'd like to think you're the one motivating him.
Hey, someone's got to. Yeah, this has been so many drops. Hopefully, maybe you got them all out for the season.
Yeah.
That's the case. Good job. You got out of the way early. Let's go dominate the rest of the way.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of talent. He just needs to catch the ball. I mean, simple as that. And if he does that,
Defenders.
he's in good shape. Okay, so we got the power rankings right over here, Rob. Not that. Calm down. Let me remove that.
And
technical issues. And there we go. We got the UFL Power Rankings brought to you by UFL Media Group. I like to use them for the power rankings. They're going to go with the number one spot to the Renegades, then the Stallions, Panthers, Defenders, Brahmas, Battlehawks, Roughnecks, and Showboats. Rob, do you see any disagreement with this?
I agree with 1 and 8.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Now, I mean, I'll definitely give you the Showboats, but you agree with the Renegades on top.
Yes, I agree with the Renegades on top. And for now, I think the Defenders are still number 2. For
Yeah,
now,
they only lost one game, and I think the Brahmas stepped up and just had a good one, and Snake bit them, right?
yeah, I think it's Renegades. I think it's Defenders. I think it's Stallions, Panthers. Um, and then I think they're insane putting the Brahmas at 5. I really
Wow.
think that's the Battlehawks. Let's not write their entire season off just because of Manny Wilkins. Pause a beat. I still think right now Battlehawks, Brahmas, Battlehawks win. So Battlehawks are there, and then I would say it's a tie. I would put a tie for 6 with the Roughnecks and the Brahmas.
Wow. Okay. So you're saying that the Roughnecks are catching up to the Brahmas after their maybe newly discovered quarterback.
And you remember last week I had the Brahmas in the basement too. Clearly, I was premature with that, but I don't know if you can clearly say one is better than the other right now between Houston and San Antonio. But I think the whole world can agree that the Memphis Showboats are in 8. If there was 35 teams, the Memphis Showboats would be 35th. If there was 100 teams, they'd be 100th. My goodness, they are bad. Um, and
They,
I think you're going to potentially see attendance really, really crater. It was already bad in Memphis, but I think you're going to see it getting embarrassing.
yeah, I mean, even when they were good, they didn't do that well in attendance over in the USFL. So this is starting to look like a big problem for the Memphis Showboats. And I agree with you on the number 8 Showboats. I'm going to work my way down from the Renegades. I really want to see. I got my problem is with the power rankings right now is we just haven't seen the Renegades play the Panthers yet, and in my mind, those are right now the top 2 teams, especially with Bryce Perkins in charge. So I've got Renegades number 1 just because maybe tougher schedule. The defense just looks really really good out there, and that was such a big win against the Battlehawks. So I got Renegades number 1. Let's go Michigan Panthers number 2.
All right.
I got to go DC Defenders because they beat the Stallions. Then I'll go Stallions. I just don't think the Stallions are looking that good this year. I think there's something wrong. They played pretty well against the Roughnecks and finally had a wake up game, but I'm at a point where they got to show me some more on offense because they are struggling out there, except for that previous week. So I'm starting to get a little skeptical on them on that. And partially it's a little hate too. I'm just tired of the Stallions winning. So maybe if I can will them into having problems, they will. Then I'm going with the Battlehawks. Battlehawks, I think it's just right now that they're doom and gloom, but they shouldn't be. They'll be fine. I think they got Dugan. I think he will play a lot better. I'm on your side with Dugan. He's definitely a gamer. You're right about that. But when Hakeem Butler comes back, you still have Sailor. I still think they have the best offensive line in the game. Not as good as the Renegades' defensive line. Still a good offensive line, though. I think they can get back over to the top and start hitting a winning streak here. And I would not be shocked that they do that. After that, it's then I would put the Brahmas, Roughnecks, and Showboats.
Yeah, I think 1 through 5, it's almost like splitting hairs at this point, which is really, really nice. And then there is a big delineation between 5 and 6. Um, that's going to change a little bit as we keep going. But yeah, I know they drop the Battlehawks aren't 6 with Max Duggan. Yeah, he struggled, but my goodness, I think every player in that locker room would run through a wall for him with the way he played, the way he threw his body out there, the way he battled. That helicopter play. Oh, he got smoked, and he popped right back up.
He was getting hit like hell back there in the backfield, in the front field, wherever. And man, I'm a little worried about his game because they're going to run out of quarterbacks for the Battlehawks. But you're right, he's tough. He was still zipping the ball just fine.
He was
I,
right one saying, "Come on, hit me again. Let's go."
yeah, I got too caught up in the Manny Wilkins versus Dugan thing, but I had to shut that down and go, okay, well, what do we got here? What does Rob have here? And Rob is on something. I think I really like that player. Just like I had to win you over on Bryce Perkins, I think you're going to win me on Dugan. I think you're going to win me. I like his game.
Awesome.
And the last thing on the power rankings that I find really weird, and I think we were both saying the same thing here. What are they doing with the Battlehawks? Like, they have a 2-2 record, UFL Media, and the Brahmas, they're 1-3. Like, just that alone.
But still, but if you're gonna get that stoked about that win over the Defenders and make the Brahmas 4, like you're still saying the Defenders are better. So if you're still saying the Defenders are better, then the Battlehawks are still better.
Yeah, but they beat them both, and then if they're that good, then why aren't the DC Defenders higher, right?
And I will say about that graphic there, I know we both just railed on the Memphis votes, but it literally says all last place votes next to their name. Oh,
Uh, no one disagrees at this point. The showboats are the ones that are not showing or boating, right? They're sinking. They're sinking, and they're sinking fast.
yes, yes, they are.
So we're gonna move on over to the week 3. Rob, I know you're kind of handicapped here. Can you see all that, or do I have to read
Hang
the
on,
spreads?
you're gonna see my eyes real quick. Cool,
I can
I
read them all
got
too.
it. Go ahead. Panthers and Battlehawks are a pick 'em,
Yeah, they
or is
actually
it
did not. So I get these spreads off DraftKings, and right now the Panther they did not post one on the Panthers and Battlehawks. Now I did see the money line. I don't have it here because I wanted a better visual of it, but judging by the money line, I'll put it down as 1.5 if you agree Michigan Panthers is the favorite because they are the favorite on the money line.
or Michigan Panthers by 1.5?
1.5. That is a Nick and Rob spread. This is not a real spread, but I'm kind of judging based off the money line.
Yeah. So yeah, which game we want to start there since we're already talking right there?
Sure, yeah. We'll go a little out of order, but get that one out of the way since it's a little confusing. So Michigan Panthers 1.5 favored by, and St. Louis Battlehawks 1.5 points given to them. Who are you picking on this game, Rob?
Um, we're filming a little earlier in the week than normal. It's Tuesday that we're filming instead of Wednesday. Um, if the rumors are true and Etling's coming in, I'm gonna say I'm going Battlehawks.
With the upset, huh?
They're gonna have a steady quarterback.
You
I
know,
don't.
I think.
I
Oh,
don't
go
know.
ahead. I'm sorry. Can you say that again, Rob? I interrupted you.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, they're gonna have a steady quarterback in their game, barring injury, and we're pretty sure Mike Nolan is playing quarterback roulette still with Etling healthy again. So give me the Battlehawks.
Now, what Rob's saying is Michigan Panthers, you got to prove it to me because I don't think he's seeing it quite yet. Right?
If you were telling me Perkins was going to play the entire game, I'm picking the Panthers. But if Etling's healthy, based on the reports we're seeing, Nolan's going to mix and match his quarterbacks. Panther, and then the Battlehawks are going to take advantage.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually going to disagree. I just try to talk up the Battlehawk fan base, but there's a lot of little factors going on in this game, and I bet you I'm wondering if Vegas is trying to figure out if Hakeem Butler's coming back yet. I wonder if that's factored into this whole. They haven't posted a spread yet, and so they
That
don't.
figure out what's going on with the quarterback situation in Michigan.
Yeah, and that too. You're right. You're right. There's a lot of weird factors. Etling and Perkins, they haven't decided on, but I love this Michigan Panthers defense. I love what they're doing. And I know even if they start Etling's not a bad quarterback. He can manage somewhat of an offense. And if it doesn't end up being a good start with him, if you're putting the money on the line with Bryce Perkins, which they'll inevitably, in my mind, will have to do because St. Louis Battlehawks are a good team, I think the Michigan Panthers will be able to pull it out and get the win. So I think we're differing on this one, Rob.
Fair enough.
The first game of the week that's going to be Friday is the Friday night game, which we're still going to try this, I guess, even though the ratings.
Are they going to keep? They're locked in.
I guess they're going to give it a go. I don't know why. Everyone knows Friday nights are the worst time for ratings, but they're going to try it anyway. But they got the Michigan Showboats. And this one, I don't think is going to do well in the ratings. And the Birmingham Stallions have a 10.5-point spread.
The Stallions are.
And let me throw a little nugget in there too. Matt Corral did get hurt in that game, but they brought in Case Cookus and he looked fine too. So.
Didn't he? Or did he not come back?
The what?
Did Corral not?
Corral did not. He didn't come back, but I think it was not a big injury from what I was reading. I didn't get too much in the details. It looks like Cookus, they just put Cookus in because they didn't want to risk anything.
Fair enough. So Corral should be starting again this week. I don't know. You get to pick first this time. I picked first last time.
There's a rule in the NFL when the point spread gets over 10, just go with the underdog. But I'm not buying the Showboats, and I cannot pick them. I just cannot. 10.5 is perfectly fine with me. Let's just say Birmingham Stallions should be able to stop it. They're going to be able to run it on them. They're going to be able to stop them. They're going to be able to stop the Showboats' run and their pass. EJ Perry's probably going to throw a pick. Cam Williams is just going to struggle. I don't think it matters. 10.5 points, not good for the league, but I think the Birmingham Stallions are going to be able to knock this one out of the park. And especially with the Stallions struggling a little early in the year, Skip Holtz is going to say, you cannot sleep on this game, work your ass off, and go get this win.
Cool. You talked me into it. I agree. Against the Stallions, if the Stallions are motivated, the Showboats might not score 3 points. I don't think they're getting double digits. If they couldn't get to double digits last week, they're not getting to double digits against a harder defense this week. Stallions it is.
So you're saying that Vegas giving them 10.5 points are the only points that they're going to get in this spread?
Possibly. It would.
The Birmingham Stallions defense is going to demolish them. Of course, we're way overconfident, so Vegas is going to get us back probably.
The Stallions defense might outscore the Showboats offense.
Oh yeah. No, I don't even think that's that crazy. I'm serious. I think you're spot on. So the next game that we got here is the DC Defenders against the Arlington Renegades. This is a big one. Rob, just to give you a little history. When Luis Perez won the XFL title, he beat Teamu and the Defenders here. So this is a bit of a rivalry in this game. And for them to go back at it, it should be a pretty exciting one, especially over in Arlington. Rob, do you have any leanings on this game?
Is the spread I'm seeing, is it 3.5? Is that what I'm seeing?
My apologies. Yes, 3.5. Renegades are favored.
I don't think the Pumpkins fully popped on the Defenders, but the Renegades are going to take this, and they're going to cover.
Dang. Dude, I don't like it when people are confident in my team. I start getting a little skeptical.
I mean, Teamu could prove everybody wrong, but this defense is disciplined enough that I think they can take advantage of his run and gun ways if he's not perfect.
I agree with this, actually, and I'm not trying to be a homer here 100%. 100%. Obviously, I'm cheering on the Renegades, and I think they can beat this spread. The thing is, Luis Perez has always been a thorn in the DC defender's side on defense. And I think it's because they like to blitz, and he's a pretty smart quarterback reading blitzes, and he can sniff it out better than any other quarterback in this league. So when they go after it, he just knows the spots to hit, and he always puts up like the biggest numbers in his career are against the DC defenders. But weirdly, he has a losing record against them too. It's really strange. That being said, I think the Arlington Renegades have a good defense this year. They're a lot better than it was last year. I think we got a running game, so we can actually manage the clock a little better. And I think the Renegades should be able to get the 3.5 and show the world the Teamu I know.
We'll see, which leads to our last game of the week. It's an all Texas battle. Roughnecks go to San Antonio to take on the Brahmas. Is that also a 3.5 point spread?
We got Brahmas 3.5 point favorites, correct?
All right, I'm going to take the Brahmas here. I'm not 1,000% bought in yet, but if we can continue the trajectory that we saw last week, the Roughnecks aren't as good as the Brahmas. Brahmas win.
Man, I think we got ourselves a really boring week here. There ain't going to be too much excitement going on here, although could lead to who the game of the week will be, because it's going to be the only one that we have a difference on, possibly, because I'm right there with you. The Brahmas, I'm just a little bit more confident in. I think their running defense is finally showing up. The only outlier is the Roughnecks QB, but I'm still a little nervous about it. We'll see what he could do because I think the Brahmas' real defense is starting to show up in this game. And I'm loving Kellen Mond. He's looking good. He's looking dialed in, ready to go, and he's starting to get some big plays going under his belt too. And I love the fact that he's got more confidence in running the ball as well. So Roughnecks are going to give him a hard time on defense, but Kellen Mond will do his thing. They got McFarland. He should do pretty well too. And Harris, I think, is going to step up. I think he's going to start catching the football. He's got the route running. Let's get the catching now. And I'm with you. Brahmas should be able to win by 3.5.
Yeah. All right. So we got one difference this week again, and that's going to be the Panthers and the Battlehawks. Nick's a couple games up on me for the season right now, so I can't catch him this week, but we're getting there.
You can get within one, and for the record, my picks are honest. Okay, I'm not doing picking strategy here. I just go with whoever I think should pull it off. So should be a good week overall. It looks like an exciting week for the most part. So I'm definitely excited about the DC Defenders. My prediction on most viewed game is going to be that Defenders against Arlington. I think that'll be the highest rated game.
Definitely.
So, Rob, with that information, we like to. You want to go ahead and introduce the segment?
Yeah. So we're going to talk the best moments, worst, and the biggest surprise of the week. So, I mean, I'd like to say this week let's mix it up a little bit. Let's talk surprise, then best, and I think we both know what we want to talk about with worst. So unless you have a specific player, I think we both want to talk about Mike Pereira there. So maybe we finish there. But for me, my biggest surprise, plain and simple, it was the coming out party of Peyton Pardee and the Brahmas. I didn't think they were going to win that game. Mike Pereira tried to slow him down. It didn't matter. I I have some excitement. I was trying to find a way off the bandwagon last week. I'm buckled back in. I'm on. I'm buckled in. I'm secure. Let's go. I'm excited to see what Party can do with this team with another week.
I always hate having to agree like on every little thing, but we're probably going to agree on two things, and we can't deny it though. How do you not? It was the biggest upset in the UFL this season for the Brahmas to pull it off, and with a lot of the coaching turmoil, two coaches for the year have left them, and for him to turn that team around to be the head coach all of a sudden, not only offensive coordinator, Party really has stepped up and remotivated him. So
that's a big jump.
Big jump. Yeah. Talk about double promotion, special teams coach. I mean, it blows my mind. So for him to pull that off and get a big win against the DC Defenders, tip of the cap, biggest surprise, bar none, the best. Who do you have for the week's bets? I'm sorry, biggest surprise. Who do you have for the week's best?
So the week's best, I'm going to go with a specific play. I'm going to go from our game of the week. You were sitting on my left, melting down. It was over. And then, bam, we had that pick six, Sports Center top 10 play. I'm going with the Renegades pick six as the best of the week.
That was pretty awesome. That was really awesome. And I was really excited. I wish I didn't have a challenge to worry about to really enjoy it in the moment, but nonetheless, I did enjoy it. Um, I'm going to actually go with Kellen Mond. I'm sticking to the Brahmas. I think he put out a pretty good show. He looked really good. And finally, we both talked about it. He was in the NFL. He should be able to get this figured out pretty quickly. And you were right sticking with him the whole time because I was like, I don't know, maybe he's not good. You stuck with it. You said no, he's got something. Give him a show. And I got to tell you, he surprised me. I was like, oh, okay. And I think he moved from being trying to figure it out as like the sixth best quarterback in the league to I think he's top three. I think he's very entertaining to watch. He's got a hell of an arm too. So I like him a lot.
And the worst of the week, are we agreeing?
It's Pereira by far. Pereira by far. And I'm so sorry early in the show. I don't know how I skipped over it. But Rob, I actually am very curious. What was your call that you were talking about?
So in the game, the Defenders Brahmas game, there was a challenge by the Defenders against the Brahmas. They got the challenge wrong, but Pereira talking through it says, that wasn't. I believe it was offsides. He goes, it wasn't an offsides at all. So they got that challenge wrong. However, I'm going to let them keep their challenge because he saw another issue on the play and he pulled it all back and reset it. So he blatantly went against the rules, which, as we know, say when you do a super challenge like that, and it was a super challenge, you have to be specifically correct. He flat out said that super challenge was not correct. However, he goes, I should have been faster. I should have caught this other issue. We're going to go by this. So we're bringing it back. And you heard Peyton Party on the mic talk about how mad he was at Pereira for that. And then he caught himself when he was like, crap, all these mics are live. But that was just like, what are. Pereira sat there and said, yeah, no, they were wrong, but I'm still going to give it to them because I saw this instead, and I should have buzzed down for this. And technically, like, what he saw was an issue, but it wasn't called. So Pereira needs to stop meddling with the games. I know that's technically his job description, but he's taking it way too far. And I have a feeling with the way it's going, the announcers tried to hype it up about that's what's great about the league. But
Not that.
this is going, a crucial playoff game or the title game is going to get decided specifically by how Mike Pereira feels. And that's not okay.
Not at all. And I am 100% with you. These are now three calls that, according to you, they challenge the play and then completely reverse. But what you're describing is a penalty. They changed a penalty. You can't do that. There's no excuse for it.
You're looking for wasn't there, but this other one was. It was, he said, I should have seen this offsides instead. And then
Look, Skybox is supposed to keep an eye out on missed calls. It is supposed to do that, okay? But it's supposed to be rapid, fast. One and two. You know my stance on dead ball fouls. A dead ball foul is a dead ball foul. It's done unless challenged. I'll accept that maybe, but you cannot go back on it at all. And it blows my mind because I told you a little last week during the broadcast. There's a strategy to the challenge. Okay, there's something you can do.
he backed perfectly used that strategy. He was within the rules of what he did, but he should.
And I'm completely with Anthony Beck. It's your super challenge. You do it, and I'm not against the super challenge. Okay. You go out there and you want to hold it for the last play of the game or a very important play in the game where you need it to be overturned. That's fine. But the coaching staff's people, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, in my game, or the game we were watching, the Renegades scored a huge touchdown. By the way, Rob, can we agree it was an exciting play?
It it was awesome. That would have been the play of the game.
Easily. It was especially in the UFL that was struggling on offense. When you get big plays like that, you don't want to take them away. It was exciting. And so we get this touchdown. You got me jumping off the couch. This time for real. I really did. I got excited. I was pumped, fist pumping, running back and forth, pounding my chest, saying,
Game of the week. It's a good watch.
yeah, and making our viewers drink another shot because I said Luis Perez 5 more times, of course. But the call gets overturned. Anthony Beck jumps in there and he calls it on, he goes holding on 98, or no, I'm sorry, 99. And so he's referring to the player. Okay, so the way the rule goes, you can challenge whatever you want. And the strategy with the super challenge is you call your coaching staff and go, find me a penalty. Find me one. I'm just looking for a penalty so I can end this play. So he gets the call. He's trying to get it in his head, and he calls 99. All right. That's their job. You're supposed to tell the ref what to look for. Okay. If you give them the wrong information, if you said it was 99, 98 is off the books. I'm sorry. We're not here to look at every little penalty that happened on the field. It's a super challenge, and the coach wants you to look at one specific infraction. And if that infraction didn't happen in that occurrence, it's done. Over.
Now, that was twice this week that Pereira said, yeah, I didn't see what you saw, but I saw this instead, so I'm going to give you credit for that. And Party even called out, like, hey, like, when like they get to keep their challenge, when the defenders get to keep their challenge in that game, he goes, that's not part of the rules. And Pereira pretty much is like, well, yeah, but
He's making it up on the fly, and then he interferes in stupid games too, especially when the Renegades get a big pick in the week before, where all of a sudden you go ahead and revoke a dead ball foul just to do it. It's getting ridiculous. I'm not liking it at all.
what I would change, if something's not called, Pereira can't call it in and say, actually, you missed this, you got to call it. Nope. And I would modify the super challenge big time. I think the super challenge offsides should not be a part of it. No line infractions should be a part of that. If the refs can't catch them, they're through. But what it should be for is for called or uncalled pass interference, offense or defense,
Mhm.
and somehow a missed personal foul, a 15-yarder. That's it. Anything else, if the refs weren't good enough to do it, well, they're under your instruction.
I completely agree. I think they do need to revamp it because, man, that was frustrating to watch. And it ruined an exciting part of the game, like we talked about later with the pick six. Because I'm sitting there going, what is Pereira going to find that's going to ruin my day again?
And they did. There was a challenge, but it didn't go through.
It didn't go through, and we got lucky, and he made the right call on that one. But, geez, man, that's it ruins the fun of the game. I'm just trying to watch as a fan. So a big play happens, I just want to cheer, you know, and I couldn't even do it. I'm waiting.
How they end up on Sports Center this year, besides the random top play here and there, is Scott Van Pelt and Sanford Steve breaking down how big of a bad beat Mike Pereira threw on everybody when he changed the championship on the fly. That's gonna kill the league. All the credibility is gone.
Yeah, it's going to be a joke of a league, and they don't have the excuse that the NFL does, where they don't actually have that transparency. So when the NFL calls look bad, it just looks bad Also, they don't need credibility because they're the NFL. They're fine. But the UFL, you want to display why your product is good and why we can do reffing better. And when this league started, I was right there with it, loving everything they were doing. But then Pereira's just got this, I call it the Nico Harrison complex or something. He's just trying to take over the game and make him the hero.
Yeah, if they want to keep it the way it is, you got to add 2 more people to that booth with Pereira, and it's a 2 out of 3 vote.
It's a good idea. I like that. Now that's more employees, Rob.
They can figure it out.
But and then we have to deal with reffing unions. We're already dealing with player unions. I mean, do we want to go down this route?
Sure.
Just make it better. Just make it better.
Yeah, The Rock's got time. He didn't show up.
All right. Well, so I heard Stone Cold did though, didn't he?
And he nearly killed a fan. He drove his AT into a barrier, and then that woman is in the LeBron school of flopping, and about 30 seconds later, after he bumped the barrier, you see her just to the ground.
She just got in the wrestling mode and she just wanted to sell it, and she did a good job.
Yeah.
Probably getting a lawsuit though. I wouldn't be shocked if WrestleMania has to deal with something there.
They'll settle it real quick.
Yeah, she's gonna get a couple $100,000, maybe.
They can afford it. Here you go. Here's some tickets to the next show.
Enjoy it, yes. So yeah, we got a big week of UFL football up ahead. Rob, we got to announce our game of the week. What are you thinking? Do I have to pull it back up?
Well, I don't think I'm available on Saturday, so
Bummer.
yeah.
All right. Well, Sunday. I might not be available too. By the way. Hey, Sunday. Oh, do we have to do 11 a.m. again?
Well, let's say this. Make sure to follow us at Nick and Rob Homer Hour on Instagram. Follow us, UFL Homer Hour on Twitter. We will announce our game of the week on Thursday on those platforms. Give us a follow, figure out which game of the week is going to be the game of the week, and make sure to tune in and hang out with us then.
Yeah, to be honest, like you did last week, we should probably just be posting on what we're doing anyway, and we'll go from there. So we'll get it figured out. We got to get our schedules worked out. Our women are loving this game of the week right now. They are enjoying it. I can tell you that right now. Me and Rob are putting our bodies on the line to get this product out there for you 50 viewers. So, just keep that in mind when we're out there doing it.
All right. Yeah, it's been a great chatting UFL again. I'm looking forward to our game of the week that we will decide. And let's hope Mike Pereira calms down.
For sure, yes. So go UFL. Let's not go Pereira. Please get me away from the Pereira games. But we'll break down week 5 next week, starting Wednesday, and then follow us on the game of the week. And guys, have a good one in the meantime.
See ya.